What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So it is another brisk morning, at least in the shade, like 10 feet over here in the sun. It's mint, it's nice, it's fantastic, but here in the shade it is kind of cold and breezy and all that of the such. So today we gotta try and fix this stinking CRV. So if you guys didn't watch last video, finished up this customer CRV, JBtuned swap, all that jazz. Put the Amazon clutch in that the guy supplied me with. Clutch don't work, don't go into gear, throwout bearing, all that is good. You can see it moving all around, but the pressure plate, assumingly, is either too weak or the clutch disc is just straight poo. So on that note, we got to drop this thing again today. So wow, that fan really rattles. I just was firing up the Miata for sale just so I could, cycle the fluids. Haven't driven the Integra in like a week, so I fired it up so the battery don't die. For my radiator fan, the tab broke on the bottom, my little mounting plastic tab, so it's just like clapping the bottom of the radiator like that, just ever so slightly. Makes it sound like a turd box though, but yeah, so that's what we got going on today. We're gonna try and get this freaking car done. Extreme Daily Drivers mentioned that I can possibly try and start the car in gear, let off the clutch, and kind of try and like slip the clutch in, but I just I don't know. I don't think that's gonna work, honestly. I think this clutch is just no good. And the guy already ordered an exity one, so I think we're just gonna cut the loss some time and pull the trans off again and try and do this one again. Before I do try and fire this thing up to like move it, because I'm gonna end up putting the other wheel back on, or at least trying to get it to roll in gear. Before I try and do that, just to kind of test Brandon's theory, I'm gonna try and reset the Vowel Lash again, because again, if you guys saw in the last video, it was just really ticky. I set it, Doge set it, and then I did find something bounced around the valve cover that was part of the tick, but it's still a little too noisy. So I'm gonna try again to set the Vowel Lash while the engine's ice cold like it's supposed to be, and then we'll go from there. But I'm new to setting Vowel Lash. I know how to do it, I'm still developing that feel per se. So I'm still using the 4,000th and the 7,000th, or 18 mil and 10 mil or whatever. So yeah, I'm gonna just blow through this real quick. Hopefully it helps. Valve Lash is a little bit quieter. It is definitely in spec. I know that for sure now, because like, I don't know, it's just, like I said, whatever. It has to be in spec, but Brandon's trick actually worked. So it's got gears now. For whatever reason, it doesn't want me to push the clutch in to the floor. I have to push it in part way and it'll go in. So pushing it in part way, and we got our gears. So I guess Brandon's right. Until the clutch gets broken in a bit, we're gonna have a high engagement point. So I'm gonna throw the wheels back on this puppy. We're gonna drop this thing on the ground, and then we're gonna see if this thing will actually drive its way up the street. And if it does, then this thing can go home and all will be well. Okay, car's back on the ground, wheels are torqued down. Let me just open this gate. We can try and back this thing out the yard and see if we can take it up the street. And if it drives up the street, then I'd assume this is good to go home. So a little excited about this actually, because that means this thing isn't total junk clutch wise. So let's see what happens here. Damn, I don't want to sit on this freaking clutch alignment tool, or the stupid tool. Nowhere to put the camera, so I apologize. Yeah. Okay, she's rolling. Okay, we have liftoff. Clutch definitely feels weird, but I mean, it's working nonetheless. Steering wheel is way off because he got all those parts swapped out. He never aligned it. But so far so good. And I don't know how to shut the back window. Oh, that rub. So much rubbing. Motor feels good though. Everything smells normal.
This thing feels like a bus. Goodness gracious. I think we did it. Well, she made it home with all the gears. Back end definitely rubs. You can see it's like super tucking back there. Probably doesn't help that he's got all the weight in the back. Motor's still just ticky. But it's running. I mean, it drives fine. Like the power feels there, like it's got the torque and stuff like it should, but it's just a little noisy. So he said he'll deal with that. But we got all the gears, we got everything that we should have. So big ups to Brandon at Extreme Daily Drivers for the little tip, I guess you would call it, because it worked. Now I just saved the guy a couple $100 from having to have me redo this clutch, and saved myself a lot of time and labor. So, well, I don't know what else to do now. Okay, I think I know what I'm gonna do the rest of the day. I'm gonna I'm going to install the roll bar on this thing, because like I said, all I needed to really do was go get those feet, and I just haven't had the time to do it. So I got the little mounting plates now, and the roll bar should already be ready to go in. So I'm gonna start ripping the interior off. I need help taking the hardtop off, but I actually got a guy coming over. He's a subscriber. I think his name is JR or Junior, I don't remember. I'm really bad with names, but he came over the other day to get some fittings welded onto his valve cover. Big fan of the channel, so it was cool talking to him for a few hours. And he had mentioned that if I needed help, he'd love to come on by. So I was like, actually, I think I'm gonna have to drop the trans on that CRV on Monday. So he's like, yeah, I'll come help, no problem. So he texted me a little bit ago. He was like, oh, you still need help? And I was like, well, I got it moving, so you can come over and hang out, because he's really interested in the welding stuff too. He just started to learn, so I was like, well, if you want to come by, I can show you some welding stuff and whatnot. So maybe I'll teach him how to do a little bit of MIG welding today, and we'll try and get this roll bar in. I mean, I'm not gonna have a MIG weld my plates on, but you know, just I'll have the help here if I need it. And yeah, whatever. That's what we got going on. Let's do that instead. Okay, I just had my dad help me take the hard top off, so let's get started. So I got it kind of mocked up, and I can already tell that there's going to be some fitment issues with the hardtop because of the latches. So the thing that I think I'm going to have to do is either pull the bar forward or lean it more upright. But then that also has to make me worry about clearance for even the soft top and the hard top. So I got to play around with it a little bit, kind of try and get the tops up and, you know, just scoot it around, find a happy medium point. And once I do, then I can slide the plates in place. I can tack weld it in here, and then I can draw where I need to cut my holes for the bolts, and then we can go from there. But yeah, it's gonna be a tight fit for sure. Well, it'll fit with the soft top on, so let me try and slap the hard top on it. I know the top's not closed, but I mean, even pulling it, because it needs to be stretching out because it's cold. But I definitely got clearance up here for it to stretch over. So let's try the hard top, and if this is where the bar has to sit, then so be it. I can scoot it a hair forward. I'm just concerned about how far I'll be able to scoot my seat back is the only thing. Okay, well, unfortunately this roll bar isn't actually going to fit with the hard top. Issue being that no matter where I place it, it wants to hit these latches And then the other issue is if I slide it forward enough for it to hit the latches, angle it up and all that jazz, even if I were to re-weld the legs, the seat then doesn't slide all the way back where I need it to be. So after looking at some pictures, the hardtop compatible roll bars are actually mounted onto these pieces here, and the hoop starts from here and comes up. So that's unfortunately what I'm gonna have to do. So it looks like I will be making my own roll bar for this thing anyway, and I guess I can sell this thing, I can sell the plates with it and stuff, and then, I mean, I could probably weld them on for whoever wants to buy them, but unfreaking fortunate, all right? Yeah, I'm pretty bummed. I'm kinda sad, but whatever. Such is life, you know, just another thing I gotta build. Not complaining, just kinda wish this one worked, because I really hate taking this damn car apart, but such is life. I went ahead and drew up and got my measurements on Bentech for my main hoop. Super simple design because the way I want it to fit and the way it has to fit, doing it off of the shelf like that, is it just has to be 290-degree bends. So it'll be a super easy one to make. So I got my measurements. It's going to be 25 inches tall from the bottom to the top of the pipe. Yeah, so we're going outside edge to outside edge. Yeah, so 25 inches tall. I want it to be 36 inches long because that's going from just inside from plastic to other plastic there, because that's where the tube is going to mount. I'm going to make a little piece that bends right off the shelf here, and that'll be solid. So I got that done, and then of course I'm going to add like X to it and stuff for triangulation to support it. But yeah, now is the thing of whether I want to do it out of 1.5" DOM, which technically I'm supposed to use 1 3/4, but I don't have an 1 3/4 die. So what I can do, because I can get away with, is the more material you add, as I understand it, the less thickness you need. So if I do like a 6-point, I may be able to get away using 1.5", whereas if I do just a 4-point, I'm gonna have to use the 1 3/4, at least according to SDCA standards. So a little confused on that stuff and what I can get away with. But seeing as this isn't really a race car, I think I should be fine with 1.5", because then if I really need to, I can always, when I get my new die, when I get the 1 3/4 die, I can always go back and remake this since I have the measurements. And then since it's just gonna be a bolt in, I can unbolt it and then bolt in the 1 3/4 one whenever I make it. Well, I decided to roll with it. I'm gonna make the roll bar out of the 1.5". So I got my measurement marked out. This is like a 77-inch tube. It hopefully will fit. I'm gonna do the 2 bends, because like I said, the 2 bends will go nice into the top, whereas if I were to do a 4-point bend, it would kind of come in a little too far, so I don't know if the rollover factor would be necessarily ideal. So first bend, everything's tightened down. Get this preload set. So I got the main hoop bent up. It is kind of funky looking from what I'm used to, because the other one, I already put it away, but the other one's so thick because it's 1 3/4, but again, wall thicknesses are the same. So this is what I did for the mounting plates. I took this piece, I cut it, and I'm gonna fill in that part with weld, so that way it'll still be strong, and that gives me my little plate to kind of follow this shape. So what I just did is I marked out my drill points, used a center punch. I'm about to drill it out really quick, and then once it's bolted in, I can, at least the main hoop is bolted in, then I'm gonna start building the legs off of that. So it does, I'll admit, look a little scrawny and a little funny now, but once it's bolted in and I got the legs to put on it, it'll probably look a little bit more appropriate. And again, this is only for now until I can afford my other die, and then I'll remake it, so no crying. Well, just like a lot of things with me, not going to plan, this didn't go to plan. So I kind of tried, I almost thought about cheaping out using riv nuts, but after putting it in and seeing how much that sheet metal moves, each of these riv nuts, this size specifically, is good for 475 pounds of pulling torque, or pulling whatever. So 4 nuts total would be 16, because where these holes were drilled on the top, it goes right into like the frame rail, so you can't actually get to it from the bottom. So instead, I'm opting for just welding it in, and I don't know. I mean, we were just talking about it because Junior or JR, right? JR, sorry. But me and JR were just going over it, and the 1.5" is just small enough that I think I can slide it inside of the 1 3/4 when I go to do 1 3/4 instead. So I'll probably have to taper or whatever the edges of this, but I can, if I ever go to cut this out, or when I go to cut this out, yeah, we'll just cut it just a hair above the plate here, and then grind the welds down a bit, and then I can rest it on it, and that way I can like cut it there and then slide 1 3/4 tube over it if I need to, when I need to, and that'll work. So that's what I'm gonna opt for now, because any tube is gonna be better than no tube. This is real, like, good DOM tubing. It's the right size and stuff, but the car is just a little heavier than what the SCCA standards recommend or require, whatever. So I'd feel safer if I actually went off a cliff or rolled over having this than just having nothing at all. Because this would still protect me even just a little bit. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna clean this up, get some of the bare metal showing, and try to weld this in without burning through. So this has brought us into the next day. I already got started. Had a little issue this morning. I actually found out one of our water lines burst. So I've been helping my dad try and fix that. And then my neighbor, who is actually like plumber and all that stuff, he's kind of taken over. So thankfully for people like him. But I got more progress, man. I just finished cutting the other bar. This notch is so much better because I finally just went and printed out the tube notching stuff from metalgeek.com. So if you guys are into fab stuff and you just having a struggle like me, memorizing this all by hand, getting it good, print it out, tape it up, makes it so much easier. So I got the main hoop tacked in on its plates. I got its legs tacked in on their plates. I think they're just about dead nuts center. So obviously that notch is much more appropriate looking, but they both weld good. They both are pretty much perfect where I need them. They both angle in just a slight bit because, you know, the lines, the body of the car. So with this all tacked together, I'm gonna pull this out, lay a couple more heavy tacks on the plates, and then yeah, from there I can actually start building the support. So I am probably gonna exit. I'm still indecisive. I do want to support between these two legs, but my only issue is that I got to figure out how to get this carpet and all that to fit as is. Like, I'm gonna definitely have to trim the carpet to even, you know what, actually, I don't know. See, this is where it's tricky because it's a sacrifice of either having all the carpet and all this stuff here or having a support brace, because main hoop is getting supported, but then I don't know. Struggles, man, struggles. I'll keep working at this and I'll let you guys know. I'm sorry if I'm not filming a lot of this. I'm learning as I go, like I do a lot of the time with this fab stuff, but as long as it gets done and as long as it's safe. So if there's one thing I'm learning, the more I start working with metal, is trust the math. And that's because, like, I tried doing this myself. I tried eyeballing, I tried doing my normal, like, mark the lines, and I finally gave up. And I did the trigonometry for it because the software I use has a trigonometry calculator, because I did it on paper the other day. It took me like an hour to finally figure out, like, the equation and all that. So in this case, I treat the area that I'm trying to make the bar in like a triangle. So in this case, I mark because I want this little bit of a gap between them, so I have room to weld in between the two pipes that are going to go from here to here, here to here. So in this case, I treated this whole area here as a triangle, or in this case like that. So in this case, I wanted part way down the pipe, so it's 13.5 inches tall, 18 inches wide. And the angle it gave me was kind of funky because I trimmed this bar to 45-degree notches. No matter where I put it, it didn't want to fit because I think just the way it's bent and like the length, because I was trying to get it higher than, I don't know, it was just, it wasn't working. So sure enough, I finally gave up, got frustrated, typed in the numerics or whatever in the calculator, and it was like 22.5 inch long piece, 52-degree notches. Sure enough, I lined my mark up, notch it, and now it fits almost perfect. I gotta hog it out just a little bit on the inside with the flap disc a little bit, deburr it a little, and it'll fit mint. So yeah, this. Alright, so this thing is pretty much ready to be tacked in. So like I said with these plates, I'm going to tack these little cutouts really quick so that way they hold their shape, and then probably weld it a little bit on the inside so that way it doesn't pull when I weld it from the outside here. get that on both sides. It's just bolted in with these 2 front bolts at the moment. I will be welding it in, like I said, but everything's tacked together. Harness bars in, just tested the seat and the harness for functionality. I thought this was gonna be an issue because the one harness has to kind of snake through here, but it's actually almost a straight perfect shot back to this tube, and then the other one is straight perfect shot under that bar. So looks pretty sick, honestly. Like, I'm pretty stoked on that. It's not perfect, but it's definitely gonna keep me safe. Especially, you know, I mean, one of these canyon trips. Hopefully, Lord forbid it never happens, but if something did happen, I'd be a bit more safe with this than just the hardtop. But I'm gonna do this real quick and then we'll pull it out. We'll throw you guys up on the tripod and we'll weld this whole thing up. Got it all welded up. Should be definitely solid. All the welds came out pretty nice. The only one that I was questionable about was this one. I mean, it welded fine, but I just didn't like the gap on that. But it is what it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a little bit of good old Rust-Oleum, just like I did with the bash bar, and then we're gonna clear coat it after that, just to make it match the car, make it look nice and shiny. And yeah, pretty hyped on it. Welds came out really nice, especially like these ones. You can't even see because of the sun. Yeah, you get the point. Did you guys know that Harbor Freight actually came out with a new gun? Me neither, but just ran down to get a new gun, and they have this green one. So I bought this. It's like $8 more than your normal one, because normally like 15. This one's 24. Can't be that bad though. It looks a lot fancier. The trigger action right off the bat, much smoother. So same old process as before. I also bought some more white paint. I just gave it another coat because there's a few light spots, but same process as before. We're gonna tear this thing down really quick, clean it up. I got some mineral spirits or paint thinner with whatever, yeah, we'll shoot some clear. Of course, we're gonna add the gold flake because why not? Add some pizzazz. It's already in there. Don't need to show you guys how to do this. We've done it 1,000 times. So yeah, see you when it's clean. Super hyped on it. I do have to take some sandpaper and scuff up here. I got a little bit of overspray on the feet. Like I said, I have to weld it in the car, so I need that clean. But when I weld it in, I'm just gonna run in here and touch it up, maybe even put some paint on a brush or something and then just dab it on there. To at least like blend it a little bit. Obviously this is all gonna be hidden, but I don't want it to corrode or anything, so I will be doing some of that stuff. But overall, looking freaking mint, matches the car. I'm hyped.
It's another nice crisp morning out here, crisp. And roll bar is ready to weld in, so it's cured overnight. Definitely cured now. Definitely looks like, it really looks like that new Harbor Freight gun definitely sprayed so much better. I don't really see any orange peel on that. So I'm gonna push the Miata in because I had to push it out of the yard last night so I could take the Integra out. And I'm gonna just get welding this thing in right away. And yeah, then we can see how it fits.
Yeah, this thing's all welded in. Definitely one with the car. And definitely wasn't easy to weld it back here, especially on this side. This side, this is pretty easy over here, not gonna lie. But back up in here, definitely not the case, but it is in nonetheless. So all I have left to do is trim up this little metal piece, and I just gotta trim up some of the carpet a little bit to, you know, fall around the pole. So no big deal. And I'll try and get this put back together, and I'll show you guys when that's done, because that's just the boring stuff. All right, I got the bar all installed. You can see through the window. I have the top up right now because the top hasn't been up in like a month and it's been cold. So I had to leave the car running for like 30 minutes with the heater blowing to even get the top soft enough to stretch over. So I'm gonna leave the top up for a little bit. I mean, for the time being at least, but it fits mint. Nice snug fit across the top. So there's some dimples like behind the seat, like in the little, we'll say, alleyway that goes from behind the driver's seat to the trunk that you have to take the metal sheet covers off for. There's a couple dimples and like little mini volcano things. You can smack them down just one quick little and the whole thing just goes down. I didn't notice that I didn't smack it down on this side, and so when I made the bar, it was resting against one of the dimples on this side. So after I put it in, I was smacking stuff around to make sure it was a good snug fit so I could weld it. And I accidentally smacked one of those down. So, rip, because the bar is now slightly angled downwards towards the driver's side. So it's very tight up against there, and then I got like a 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch gap on this side. So it's noticeable if you're looking at the car from a distance with the top down, because you notice it's just ever so slightly offset. In terms of safety and all that stuff, effectiveness, whatever, it'll still work. But it's just a little bit noticeable with the top all the way down. But yeah, I mean, I'll outright admit that. I can always go back and fix it. I can literally just cut the freaking pole right at my plate, and then I can just put another plate there, essentially as a spacer, and then re-weld the pole to it. It doesn't reduce any structural integrity. If anything, it'll increase it, because then on that plate, I can use a smaller plate so I can weld that plate nice and thick to the plate that's already there. But I'm not gonna bore you guys with all that stuff. You guys get it. It works. I'm stoked. Looks good, fits both tops, and it's my own. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to let me know in the comments down below. If you're new to the channel, hopefully you have considered subscribing. And if you would like to support the channel, you would like to support me so I don't have to go back to the 9-to-5 life and I can keep making videos and keep doing my own side work, then please sign up for the Patreon. Once I get enough people in there, I will start doing monthly giveaways and whatnot. Behind the scenes stuff is already in there and whatnot. And I have shirts and stickers in the Big Cartel. Help yourself, please and thank you. So anyways, guys, do what you love. Think about the rest, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Just kidding, last little thing. I did just fix the roll bar because it was angled. It wasn't closing the hard top on this side. The soft top was scraping it. So I just cut like an 1/8 inch out and then use a ratchet strap to pull that arm down, re-welded it to the base plate. We're good to go. Okay, see you later.